Hi and welcome back. Today I'm going to be telling you about some tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way for shy students when they're using Zoom during this period of online learning. I just kind of want to put a disclaimer out there that I am by no means an expert. I am just a shy student also trying to use Zoom, and these are some little tips that I've just picked up along the way, some life hacks that have made Zoom a little bit easier for me to use. To start with, I want to give 3 simple tips for listening skills while on a Zoom call. Number 1, it helps if you're taking notes. This is to make sure that you're not spacing out, you're paying attention to what's being said, and I think it really helps. Tip number 2 is that when you're listening, try to listen to understand what's being said as opposed to listening to try to respond. This not only cuts back on the social aspect and the social anxiety that comes with this, but it helps you understand the class material. My 3rd tip is find something other than your phone to channel your nervous energy into. Because I was noticing in the first couple days of Zoom classes that I kept picking up my phone and just kind of like fiddling around, even though I didn't really need anything on my phone. So what I ended up doing was buying this. You see it? It's called a fidget device. I got it off Amazon for a couple bucks, and so it has buttons up here. This is kind of like a little video game controller. It has a spinny thing here, this here. Something I use a lot is this. You pull it down, and then over here this is like a spinny thing, and then right here we have like a button. And it just helps to have something to kind of put your fidgeting motions into. And then when you're feeling socially anxious or just anxious in general, you can kind of just fidget with it and you don't need your phone and you'll be less distracted. Now I have 4 tips that will help shy students interact on Zoom. So the first tip I have is to realize and accept that you are not going to be getting the same kind of feedback that you get with in-person interactions. When you say something, there's a chance it'll just be met with an awkward silence, which won't feel comfortable for those of us who it's hard for us to speak up to begin with. But we have to realize it has nothing to do with us. People are just deciding who's going to respond first. They're trying to think over what you said. Yes, it is harder to pick up on these cues. It's harder to read our audience when we are in virtual environments, but it's important to remember this has nothing to do with you, nothing to do with what you said. It actually just has to do with the location where this lesson is taking place. And just accepting that, there will be gaps in communication, there will be awkward pauses, but it has nothing to do with you, and what you said is valid. This next tip kind of goes back to what I already said, but again, just realize that it will be harder to read your audience, and that's okay. You just have to be confident in what you said and what your opinion or your take is. If like me, it makes you very, very nervous to try to figure out when is an appropriate time to speak, when is an appropriate time to share your side of things. It may just be good to start off by using the reactions if appropriate. You can use the thumbs up reaction, the wave reaction to signal that you agree with something, or you can use the raise my hand function in Zoom, which will hopefully send a signal to your teacher that you have something to add, and then maybe they can kind of call on you, and that will take some of the social discernment of norms out of it. Alternatively, if you really, really don't want to speak up, but you do have something to share, try using the chat. The chat is a great place to put your thoughts and ideas, and that way you get to type them out instead of verbally saying them, but your ideas will still get mentioned. And finally, I have 5 general tips that will also just help Zoom in general. My first tip is to find a buddy in your class. When you're speaking, you can act like you're just talking to them, and when they speak, maybe chip in and make them feel supported and backed up as well. My second tip is to hide self-view. When you're only looking at the picture of yourself, not only are you missing what the teacher's saying, but it's also just making you fixate on that nervous energy. So by hiding the self-view, it'll make you feel less self-conscious, it will help you focus, and it'll make you realize that most of the other kids are just watching the teacher too. They aren't looking at you. Uh-oh, there's an awkward silence. As shy people, I feel like sometimes we're especially sensitive to awkward silences, so just wait it out. It will pass. Everything will be okay. Uh-oh, you're the first person in your Zoom. It's you and the teacher. What do? Number 1, just say hi. Ask them how their day's going. Ask them about, their evening, that kind of thing. But also do not feel obligated to make small talk. If you just wait there, other kids will come and the awkward silence will soon go away and everything will be okay. My final tip is to just practice self-compassion. Everyone's doing the best they can, including you. It's okay if you're shy and Zoom doesn't really work for you. This is a temporary learning situation and we will all get through it together. Zoom fatigue is very real and it's just part of the learning curve. Let's say you don't talk at all during a class or a breakout room. Don't beat yourself up about it. Tomorrow is a new day, and maybe you'll participate tomorrow. Also, don't beat yourself up if you start talking at the same time as someone else. This happens all the time and has no real consequence. Everybody's forgotten about it by the end of the day. I hope these tips and tricks helped you like they helped me. Remember, it's, trial and error. We're all just doing our best. Do you have any advice for people like us? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, shy or not shy, you could be the loudest person in the class or the quietest person in the class. We're all adapting to online learning at our own pace, and it's important to be mindful of this and just take it one step at a time. Thanks again for listening. Please, please, please comment, like, share, tell a friend. What's the other thing? Follow, like, share, and subscribe. Please try to subscribe. It would mean the world to me. From one shy girl to other shy people. They speak. Also, don't beat yourself up if you start talking as the same person.